Say the line, Bart!
What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Yeah! Have you ever driven through Saskatchewan to drive to Alberta to see the beautiful mountains up there with Banff and Jasper? And while you were driving towards the horizon, saw that the mountains were slowly kind of breaching the horizon in the distance and getting bigger and bigger? And that's kind of all you need to know, really, when it comes to the flat earth debate. If you're somebody who's driven all the way to the other coast of Canada, because I've done it, I've camped in every single province, all right? When you come to me and tell me that every time I get on a plane, the plastic on the glass is curved and that's why I see curvature on the earth, I didn't buy that. But I've got now no plastic curved glass in front of my face. I've seen it for myself, those mountains coming out of the earth. So if you, like me, were to drive over towards Twistzz to see the Canadian goat up in the mountains of Banff, just on the other side in Kelowna, BC, then you would know that the round earth theory is actually a lot more compelling than some people out there are giving it credit for, all right? So unless you are willing to relitigate the scientific method and reinvent modern science, all you need to really do is take a drive across Canada, okay? Because it's real flat in the middle, and then the mountains pop up in the distance like pimples, and that's how you know that this thing is round. Now that we've got that out of the way, I've gathered you here today to talk about, is Twistzz washed? Man, we saw a rough go of it over in Rio, and I'm sure some of you saw this tweet that Twistzz put out there about how exhausted he is, and then actually Apex piggybacked off of it while also simultaneously winning Rio. Nice flex, Apex. This was a statement from Twistzz that sort of sparked a conversation in a lot of the interviews that I did in the past week about should there be so many events, and this is a conversation that happens perennially here in Counter-Strike, and I think it used to be that there's too many events. Now it's like, I feel like we're in a very enviable position in Counter-Strike compared to like other games that sometimes they just don't have tournaments to play in. I would rather be in this position than the other, you know, because you can't really have a perfect schedule. So if it's going to be one or the other, I think it would rather be Counter-Strike than another title that has like a very short, you know, season overall, or just not that many games played. And I'm sure Vivid's going to bring up Valorant, by the way, just because I've been consistently hating on Valorant because I made that my personality, even though I think the game's pretty good. I just think it's funny. It's like beating up on your little brother. I never had one, but you know, if I did, I think I would want to just like beat up on him just because they're supposed to, because that's what I learned from the movies and stuff. But maybe I wouldn't do that. I don't see myself. All right, why are we using this to talk about Twistzz? The guy who actually, this is such a terrible segue, but was bullied at one point in his life and now is the GOAT of North American Counter-Strike, won the Grand Slam, won the major that Liquid couldn't win, and also is carrying the hell out of a European team. Look at that top 20 rating from last year for Twistzz. So then why would I say all that and then use a demo where he goes 1 in 15 or something to talk about the kind of player that Twistzz is? Well, the reason is that I wanted to talk about Overpass, the most played map at Rio, ladies and gentlemen, to form a discussion here around FaZe Clan and around Twistzz and his role on T side, because he's playing connector. This connector on Overpass is the one that changes your 4 or 5 second rotate down and up the stairs for the late round of T side to be able to quickly fake and pull off an attack, and also make sure you can't get fast flanked into this 10 to 15 second rotation all the way around through spawn. And CTs have connector control and they're standing at the back side of it, you know what I mean, lurking at the end by the ladder. You got to walk through your spawn to get all the way back through B or go all the way towards A. It's just grueling, and you can't afford to give up conn control on Overpass for that reason. And over the years, man, it's only gotten more difficult for the T-side player to get conn control safely. Now, what's interesting about this demo and Twistzz in general is actually for most of his career, he was not playing conn. He was a guy defaulting towards fountain, towards balloons, towards party, towards long. And earlier on in FaZe Clan, Rain was obviously the player to be playing in conn, but recently Twistzz has taken over this position, and in this game, of course, didn't have a really great time. But you'll see, though, that he is somebody who you can absolutely see playing conn well. And so the reason this is really interesting to talk about is because he's got something that entry fraggers could absolutely learn from. I think he actually has a better toolkit than most entry fraggers in the world, period. Here, I'll highlight, be specific here, and talk about what makes Twistzz so good at what could be his role as an entry fragger. First of all, perfect movement. When we're talking about dropping down the ladder, throwing his flash on time, making sure his nade lands on the stairs, if he's going to wait, if he's going to cross, how fast he goes, doesn't mess that up very often, folks. That's really important. Number 2, he's also got insanely good aim despite being a slower player here. I had a specific conversation with him where I was like, what's it like being like an aggressive player? And he's like, I'm not aggressive, I'm explosive. And ever since then, that's stuck in my mind. I've thought about Twistzz as an explosive player. If the action comes to him, he's going to be all over the place. But if it doesn't, he's actually going to be quite methodical about the way he approaches everything. And the things, again, I want to point out how far he stands away from a wall, how far he stands away from an angle, how he picks his angles, how he clears back and forth, and how precisely. Because every time I saw Twistzz die, I kept seeing that tweet come into mind where he said he was exhausted because all I saw was a couple of bullets just off by a touch, and then Spinks on the other side of things hitting every bullet straight on the dome and stealing the show, but really shining a light on how Twistzz was off by just a little bit, even though I think that he came through, showing off how good of a player he is despite missing a couple of sprays. So first of all, why don't we just watch his demo here, go through some of the kills, talk about the difficulties of today's conn, and then talk about, you know, where it went wrong here. All right, let's hop on in. So we can see that Twistzz has really good nade protocols, really good approaches on everything. We also see that there's this element of mixing it up, which is really important for connector. So when you're coming through, yes, you can throw the HE if you have the good spawn every single time. You can throw the molly sometimes. But what's most important is that they don't know what you're trying to do, right? So you can play optimized CS, but that actually still ends in variety. And so right here, we see Twistzz actually throw a molly that he wouldn't normally throw, except it's all because he wants to try to draw out this peak. Now, Hobbit still gets the kill on him, but you can see that there's never a moment that Twistzz goes forward with a protocol or a piece of utility without knowing the exact reaction. Every time he enters into the stairs way, we're never, even in this unlucky or bad video or segment coming up, you're never going to see Twistzz get caught off guard, shot in the side of the head or anything like that while inside of connector, and that's something that's really key. Except this one time, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring in one exception here to my point where Twistzz does get caught off guard, and this is actually a talk about Force for a second, who actually have done so well recently, of course, with some of their big wins, and you know how good Zorte has shown himself to be. Well, they find a setup finally where I feel like most teams have just not figured out that Twistzz is just sitting here at the back of conn every single round, that there isn't a set strat in the first 20 seconds, and they set up in stairs with Shelfie fighting at the top of bathrooms, who ends up dying. And this is the only round where I've seen Twistzz get baited into skipping protocols, whether it's clearing things out or using nades to do things safely inside of conn because of information on A. And this both highlights that Twistzz does not turn this corner until there's information on A, and in this case, the kill feed and Shelfie. But this double setup inside of conn totally catches them off. Very, very sharp angle here from Zorte with the full intent of trying to catch this lurk from coming out. So a nice counterplay from Force to really flush him out of a spot that almost most other teams can't. All right, so this is going to be the unlucky or bad, where we are going to look at the kills and deaths and just put a very crude, very sort of first impression stamp on it, whether or not you felt like it was unlucky or bad. Or, you know, maybe there's a godlike. Maybe the one kill that he got was godlike in this match. That's what we want to. That's what we want to try to figure out. Now, we see actually that Twistzz on a lot of opening games. I watched so many demos going back all the way to 2019, and just, yeah, well, since his time on FaZe at least, after 2019. A lot of their pistols don't involve like standard defaults where they just sit back in the back of conn, and instead are more set plays where Twistzz will take some speed, whether it's through monster or through connector. And of course, right there, he gets flanked. We can just call that bad, whatever, just because he gets caught off guard. It's going to be one or the other, all right? It's not always going to make perfect sense. Like, is it unlucky that you got timinged? And timing is, I guess, another one. We could say timing, actually. I forgot what we used to use. Unlucky, bad, or timing. Yeah, we could say that. All right, so this is the more slow default from Twistzz and what I was talking about earlier. And listen, I remember this quote from Hiko. It said that if you don't have a plan on an eco, you might as well skip it, okay? Just because you got nothing to work with doesn't mean it's literally nothing. You're still playing the round. You have Glocks. Even though you only win 1 in 1,000 rounds with just pure Glocks, doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to squeeze it for every nickel or dime that it has, okay? So, you know, really sweat here, shoulder peek, and then Twistzz gets killed by Spinks. Can we say bad when it's an MP9? But we got to put it into one of the containers, right? Unlucky, bad, or timing, so it's got to be bad, right? He just comes through, loses, all right. Unlucky that he had a Glock. Oh, we can skip that and take this seriously, you know? We can talk about the real meat and potatoes, the rifle rounds. So why don't we do that? Let's see if the rifle rounds here show us whether or not Twistzz was unlucky or bad. All right, so here's what I'm talking about with the speed of the approach when he comes into connector. What we're looking for on the mini map, okay, at all times is where Kerrigan is. So when we see Kerrigan clear the top of stairs, that's when Twistzz is going to come up from the bottom of stairs and not be worried about anything up there, and he can clear some of these other angles, which normally offer up some very nice fights for the CT side. And of course, for FaZe to clear the top of stairs is not necessarily easy. You need your front bathroom smoke and some resource and attention from the team to go ahead and clear that stuff out. And then this is where Twistzz activates as an entry. We call that bad. He just lost an MP9 with a AK coming in, but you know what? The crosshair placement was perfect. And again, here I'm talking about this is an unlucky or bad to show off how good Twistzz is, right? Showing that I think on his worst day, which is what he's having right here, if he played just a touch better, if the aim was just a little bit there, he would have had a dominating performance, and explains why he's a top 20 player, folks. All right, so look at this. When we see Kerrigan, we know that things are going to go fast. Kerrigan, with his Jumpman impression here, he's almost hitting the ceiling. He's jumping so high. So Kerrigan, they throw the smoke down, and when Kerrigan comes stairs with Twistzz, this is Twistzz. He's gonna activate a speed buff. All right, this is when they'll take haste on stairs. They'll go and clear things out fast. Sometimes Kerrigan will come with Twistzz to go quickly. Sometimes Kerrigan will go top bathrooms really quickly to help Twistzz come out faster. But every time Twistzz moves fast, it's going to be because of Kerrigan. There will even be moments where Kerrigan can speed up Twistzz coming in through the B side of things, and you'll see that Kerrigan can set up a moment here where Twistzz gets an advantageous fight versus somebody who's completely unaware of his position, even though Twistzz is honestly inside of the back of conn almost every single round, right? Unless it's just a complete set play in the first 20 seconds, if it's a delayed round, Twistzz is almost always back there. So here he catches off of Axile because Kerrigan sets up a little bit of attention off of short. You know, whether or not this is purely intended on Kerrigan's part, he knows that Twistzz is there watching his back inside of stairs and can stop anybody from rotating down and killing him, or at the very least, guarantee a trade. And because it's Kerrigan, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. So back to the game, and of course, Twistzz gets his top popped here by Apex on a Famas. And every time you die to a Famas, well, guess what, son? It's because you're bad. All right, and we are back to Glocks, but because it's unlucky or bad, we got to go through every single time that Twistzz died. And you know what? I have a feeling this isn't the round that his first kill comes from. So maybe it is, in which case, then of course we can agree Twistzz is an absolute god, but it's probably not going to happen. Mowed down by Magisk and back to the stairs, and we see the fast jump across. It's always going to be an HE or a Molly or a flashbang to start things out. And for the sake of variety, honestly, that you don't always throw the same nades, but we're seeing a lot of spawn-based stuff. I'm not sure we're seeing 100% correlation between Twistzz spawn and the nade he throws, but I think sometimes we are definitely seeing his best spawns be either the nade or the HE, and then the flashbang with the molly or the flashbang by itself, depending on how far back he is. And right here, of course, we see that he wins top stairs again. I want to go back into this round to show off that he wins top bathrooms just as Rain turns the corner here on the top of party. And as soon as that happens, Twistzz knows that he can escape. And you can see his position is very dangerous because of that door being blown open, which these days in the meta is all too common. Once upon a time, that door was kept shut. The CT side tried to use it to their advantage, boosting outside of short B, playing within the stairs, keeping it open. And now it gets naded open almost every single round. And a reason for that, if you keep the door blown open on CT side, then the approach from the T side is so difficult. And as I just brought up, this rotation is a difference between 4 seconds and 15 seconds all the way through spawn, that it's so key that your stairs conn player stays alive, number one, and then number two, can slowly work on the map control. But now what's being forced is the CTs are using a nade to blow open the door, and what the CTs get in exchange for that usage of 1 HE every round is the Ts must now smoke this, and we'll see that Twistzz will smoke this almost every single time around the minute 15 mark on his defaults, and then slowly work up to trying to get up through stairs. But he never, again, takes it upon himself to get up through stairs. It'll always be with Kerrigan coming with him in the stairs, with Kerrigan clearing here, with Rain clearing the top of stairs on this side, with Kerrigan putting pressure on short, never by himself, never without teammates here for the exits, and making sure that he's a supplementary piece to map control, but a critical one for opening up options later into the round. So once again, open up to the rotation, and then look at this perfect sort of entry and clearing, not dying in the stairs in this default, into staging a position where he can now sit and chill and try to wait for the opposition to make a move. And we see that pressure is actually coming on the other side of Long in the form of Spinks, moving slowly but with conviction to turn the corner. Twistzz will be holding the spot. You know, a very austere angle right here between the door, and right before this happens, watch where a few of the bullets go. Again, advantageous fight set up after perfect entry pathing, barely taking any damage, taking over conn control, doing his job, but then missing a couple of bullets going into the door, into Spinks winning. And I think this round is the perfect round to talk about what happened this match, which honestly, in my opinion, was simply missing a few bullets. 2 times too many, and at the same time, no one else to really bail them out and buy them enough rifle rounds so that there were more chances to play. So here it is again. We've got that flash to come through with this swing a little bit later. Very, very pressurized control here towards Fountain, and that'll get alleviated by FaZe winning their duels. And Twistzz will now go back, group up with the pack, start the attack towards A, and it looks like it'll actually just be a free round. There will be no death for Twistzz here, which, you know, considering he's 0-1 and 7, might just be kind of a relief to win a round so easily. And now we'll work on a little bit of conn presence with fall back. Oh, and right here, this is where Twistzz missed a few bullets, and look at Spinks' laser sharp precision. Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. We're gonna say bad, of course, because you know what? Twistzz hold himself to that standard that he should be getting that kill, of course. You know, can't let that 2K happen, especially if he knows it's going to take place. And Spinks gave him that duel, but that was the story today. Twistzz a little bit off. Spinks, one of his best games in his career, straight up. So, you know, very stark contrast in that regard. What'll matter most is Paris, of course, but for Spinks, well, he turned this performance, this win, into a deep tournament run, into a tournament victory for Vitality. Some important confidence points won. And you know what? Paris or not, an incredible win for Vitality regardless. You know, very, very big win. I was a sort of a Spinks, I was thinking Spinks, you know, he just was slowing down so much, and I was just, man, we're back to ZywOo having a worse team than, you know, anybody of that level should have for too long. This is really rough, and Spinks was so good at first with that Pro League victory, that honeymoon, but then just tapered off so much, and it was like, all right, what's going to happen now? Twistzz 1 kill here. Fantastic. Godlike, even though that's not a category. So there's Twistzz 1 kill into the spray behind the truck, but guess who's there? It's ZywOo. I honestly didn't even see him. You can give godlike to ZywOo, bad to Twistzz, even though he also got a godlike in the same round. God, I hate this format. I just don't know where to put some of these kills, man. When you get insted like that, all I can think is like, I would have died too. You know, that's literally the only that's the only thing I can think. I'm always like, I hope no one would call me bad for dying to that, you know? But that's why I'm the fake YouTuber coach. Passing judgment. When you throw this Molotov, by the way, throw it like Twistzz, okay? If you throw this Molotov properly, it's burning out both corners, which is really, really key. Sometimes you're using your molly and stairs to molly the top of stairs and then slow clearing, but you've got to use your sort of discretion. Now, there's the tag from Twistzz, but the perfect shoulder peek, as we can see, that's ZywOo. He gets to shoot off the perfect shoulder peek. And remember, a really good shoulder peek doesn't mean you could see them before you died, right? Normally, if you see them before you die, that means you swung so wide you look like a stooge. A real good shoulder peek, you're aware of the exact limit and edge of the angle, and you're shoulder peeking, not even able to see your opponent like you just saw Twistzz do. And that's the difference between life and death, and maybe the difference between the round one, you know, even though it's probably unlikely because this is not a great game for Twistzz or for FaZe overall. Dupree owns him, 2 bullets to the dome, no chance to even shoot back. Twistzz will give that one a bad 1 in 10. Even though he had a very good shoulder peek earlier in the rounds. All right, so round 12, Twistzz 1 in 10. rolling up with the Tech 9, trying to take this distance fight into CT spawn. Can't win it versus Apex. Another bullet in the head. Listen, Twistzz doesn't have 100% HSP, but his opponents do versus him. That's for damn sure. All right. So the jump across, and you see he picks up the other Molotov to molly the top of the stairs. This is also really key for doing this by yourself. And this allows you to clear out some more angles, of course, with the smoke on top of it. And there's now you don't have to worry about the covey position. Here is FaZe Clan set up outside of B. So they're trying to duplicate Twistzz' presence by getting him to clear everything out in stairs by himself without having to have somebody else come from the top of stairs. So arming him with that second Molotov, but then he gets beaten down by Dupree, as they call it, the position vitality, with this amazing setup. Honestly, they had a lot of great CT setups on Overpass. We'll give him a bad and just lock that in. I think there's a few rounds where I didn't call it unlucky or bad, but you know what? Got to call a spade, even if the spade is Canadian. And it hurts my heart. And Twistzz coming back to check the flank, but this will be one more round that Spinks looks like a god and Twistzz does not. Another great one here from Spinks, and we go into the final round, last chance for Twistzz to get a kill. Spoiler, he doesn't do that this time. And we move on up with Twistzz going quickly. Spinks on the other side of things. How poetic would it be for Twistzz? So Spinks to not, again, put up a godlike performance at the exact same time as Twistzz, putting up one of his worst performance in recent memory, and then also, doing it off the back of, honestly, multiple kills on Twistzz that have been pretty pivotal. Well, here he is walking outside, and Rain will take him out, and, Twistzz was about to kill him. I would just like to say this would have been a 2-13 game if not for Rain just now. Molly separates him from his teammate, and they'll come through. We've got nobody on the truck, so it actually should be a pretty promising situation for Twistzz. He'll get this down and probably get away with very low HP. 11 health in the post plant, and here is where the flank comes in. Dupree waiting for this frag to come on in, and it's a very unlikely timing on the flank for how quickly it was. And yeah, so he'll die. We can call it unlucky, or we could call it bad. Honestly, it doesn't matter. This is just for fun, right? We're leveraging the unlucky or bad to talk about the map, to talk about the rounds, to talk about the kind of player that we're watching. And a lot of the times, I wanted to use unlucky or bads on only the, the top performers, because I think like support players and people that take a lot more sacrifices have way more excuses to why their performances weren't so good. Played 15 rounds of B on Mirage, no one went B. Wow, they end the game 11-15, and it's like, well, they were about to be nuts on CT's side, but they just didn't have the opportunities and they lost. And so that's why I don't like to bag on the support players as much. Twistzz, unlucky or bad, it was a bad game. He said he was exhausted. He's not scared to admit it. So I hope you enjoyed that. We're back with demos. We're also back with clothes on store.boxer.gg. So make sure to go ahead and check those out. And as always, A-Zone for sponsoring me. I decided to have my handheld mic, where I probably should have been listening in to this one. But thank you so much for choosing me to be the brand ambassador. The best CS2 headphones on the market, beautiful, comfortable to wear, and they've got the best noise canceling technology available. So that's it for now. I hope you loved it. We'll be back definitely with some more demo reviews and just more videos hating on your favorite players and teams. Okay, all right, stay tuned.